cord. All right, so Heather, cue up some of those great questions that everyone
had. Dave, actually, do you want me to read it off, or do you want to maybe just ask it?
Yeah, I'll just ask it. So Dave, I bought Sharon and I bought two 2019 no loft bunkies.
Yep.
And we're up in just south of North Bay, so as you can imagine, it gets reasonably cold up there. We want to insulate the bunkies, so we want to put some insulation on the floor. We want to put some insulation on the ceiling. I was watching your one of your videos that was online there. When the kit itself does not come with the additional wood or any of those insulation pieces, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so when we go to insulate, I bought metal roof from Stoll, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Heather, that's
the Dolmet guys, right?
Really good guys to deal with, by the way.
Great.
Yeah, you picked a good supplier there.
Cool.
What is the process? So what is that material that you, on your video that I saw on YouTube there, it looks like you have some sort of black, is that paper that's on there?
Yeah, so that's like basically, so if for those of you who haven't seen this video, maybe I'll figure it out, I'll type it in the chat, but basically it's a video of me doing, I think it was my no loft bunkie. And so, so you can always count on me to give you the Scottish way of doing it. I'm Scottish, so I'm a little bit cheap. So generally, if it's my way of doing it, it's usually like the indirect cheapest way to do it. So prior to actually like that bunkie I had for 3 or 4 years before to put the metal roof on, it just had this really cheap like roll-on asphalt shingle. Essentially, it's like this big roll, and that was like, kind of doing an okay job, but I wanted to kind of insulate. So that was already on the bunkie. So if you see that black whatever, that's just this roll-on shingle essentially. So it's like you're putting over top of shingles. Now in your case, you're gonna build your kit, and you're gonna have those deck boards, which are kind of like a wooden floor or whatever. Those come with the kit. And I would suggest, if you want, you can put some type of a ice and water shield, or VicWest. If you buy a VicWest roof, Soul might have this too. Is like, it's just like a membrane. So you might want to put that on first, instead of the Dana's saying we bought the GAF weather shield. So something like that. You might want to do that. Lots of people don't. You can also just put the roof. Some people just put the deck boards down and then screw the metal right on. It really depends on how hardcore you want to go. But I already had that asphalt shingle on, and it would be more work to take it off. So I just kept it on. And then it's just 2x4. So the wood in the video is just 2x4s. And then the styrofoam I used was like this leftover styrofoam from a job we were doing, like a floor job that wasn't related to bunkies, if that makes sense. So, I just used the cheapest available materials I already had, essentially. So does that answer your question, Dave?
Yeah, the 2x4s though, those are not included in the kit, correct, Dave?
No, yeah. I just added those, bought this from the hardware store.
And should I be using pressure treated wood for that? Would you recommend that?
It shouldn't be getting wet. It shouldn't. You should, like, when you the Stoll metal roofs have those little profiles, right? So that wood in that area is going to be breathable. Like, moisture can get in and out, and especially at the top when you put the cap on, there's little gaps in there, and that's on purpose so that it can just kind of breathe. So you shouldn't have moisture unless there's some problem, like a leak or something. Shouldn't have long-term moisture in there. So you don't really need to do pressure treated, I wouldn't think.
Okay, and so I take it after whether I use pressure treated or not, we might even have some at our cottage anyway. Mm-hmm. So then we just put the metal. If we decide to just go with the 1.5 inch insulation, the sheets, that's probably all we'll do. Yeah. Then we just put the metal roofing on top of it.
Yep.
And off we go. And on the floor itself, then, before we put the flooring on, we would put that 1.5 inch. We could just rest that in.
Yeah, you're gonna have a 2x4 kind of sleeper, the exact same gap to work with. If you just want to do one layer, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was going to put the floor of the bunkie on a gravel.
Like the foundation of the bunkie, you mean?
Yes.
Yep.
Is that okay? And then to rest, so the floor, and of course get it level.
Yeah.
So I don't get any complaints from my boss, my wife. But so we'll get it level and so on. So I can put that insulation in there and it can touch that A gravel. There's no.
No,
will
well,
it-
so sorry, I should have zoomed out a little bit. So let's go from the bottom. You got your you got your area. You're going to kind of clear off the topsoil or just dig, make sure it's all level as best you can with the shovel. Then you're putting A gravel down, right?
Right.
And then you're
That's
building,
right.
you're putting on some type of a block or something, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you've probably got the foundation PDF of some sort, right? So you're going to build big blocks or patio stones or whatever it is. They're going to be sitting on the A gravel, nice and level, and then you got to build your little whatever it is. If it's like a micro deck, and I would suggest buying pressure treated for that. And then when the kit comes, it also has pressure treated floor sleepers. So if your deck's going, we'll call it a deck, but you know what I mean, like your frame for your bunkie, if it's going like this way, then put your floor sleepers this way. And I believe on that kit, the floor sleepers go front to back, like the door to the back of the bunkie. That's how the floor sleepers go, and then the floor goes like this. So your whatever you build is going to go east west or left to right, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you're in that case, you're that those before the kit, the stuff that's on the sitting on the blocks or the whatever, that's going to be your base. And then the kit's going to build on top of that base, and you can put your styrofoam right on top of that base, right in between the floor sleepers that are included in the kit. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Good question. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Ed, welcome, by the way. There's a couple people that tuned in. Welcome, Ed and Susan and Gary and Marion. So we are recording tonight's chat. So if anybody wants to watch it later, they can, or if anybody misses it. So if anybody got an issue with the recording, just let us know and we'll, I don't know, we'll blur your face or something. So yeah. So Heather, what other questions stood out? Or if anyone wants to jump in, feel free to throw questions my way.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Did anyone else come specifically with a question that we can help you out with? I definitely knew of Dave's question, but Lori, did you have a question there? Hi, Lori.
Hi. I did have a couple of questions. One was related to the foundation, but I think I'm speaking to Bryn tomorrow, so maybe I can deal with that. It's just,
Yeah, if you have the question, probably other people in the group have the question too. So
okay.
Let's address it. Yeah.
So I have two questions. The easiest one maybe is related to the stove. So if we're not ready to buy the stove just yet, is it, I presume it's just a matter of installing it later by creating the hole in the roof and doing it the way you would normally do it? Because you cut the hole anyway after you complete the roofing. Is that the process?
So I've actually, to my great embarrassment, I've never installed one myself yet. I've been on a bunch of job sites that are clients that have them, but from what I understand, the most tricky part is getting that cut through the roof. And either way, you have to kind of make that cut happen, whether or not you're doing it while you're building or after. I don't think it's actually, you're not saving any work. I think it'll be just almost the same amount of work to do. So I don't think you have to worry too much about like, oh, we can't add it later. It's most people are kind of retrofitting it either way.
Okay. And so relatedly, a neighbor who probably doesn't know more than me, maybe, said you should definitely go out the side as opposed to going up through the roof.
So I know, okay, once again, I'm not the manufacturer of the cubic mini wood stove. Are you going with the cubic mini wood stove?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, they like, we've had pretty intense talks with them of like, what do we need? What, how do we do this? And they've got little, like, here's the 20, or here's the Haven Loft bunkie kit. Here's this, they've kind of made recommendations, and they always say, you got to go straight up the top and you have to go above the roof line with whatever your finish on top. So, like there's like the peak, right? If you go up, sorry, I can't do this, but if you go up like here, then you still have to go above the roof line. If you go, say you do it more towards the edge of the bunkie and you cut up here, then you need another super big chimney up there to get still above the roof line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you have to go like 2 or 3 feet above the roof line, wherever you are.
I don't know if it's 2 or 3 feet. I don't know the exact measurement, but it's some measurement above the roof line. And so it's a little bit easier to put in the middle of the bunkie because then you're popping out and you're right there at the roof line.
Oh, I see.
That makes sense. But they're pretty good. They can help you with that. The exact thing. And my understanding is like, if it's in the backwoods and no one's going to care about it, it's probably not the end of the world, but you want to kind of do it in a way that's going to be safe, right? For like, it's not going to burn the bunkie down or get smoke backdrafting into the bunkie or something like that. So
yeah. Okay. All right, so a bit of time with that. And then I guess the other question related to the foundation, that's the part that's freaking me out.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So, because it's the part that we don't have really specific instructions on. We're up near Perth, so Canadian Shield, very rocky,
Yep.
close to a shoreline, but not like next to it. And I just don't know. I can't talk to anybody in the township. Everybody is like not answering calls because they're so busy and stuff. So I can't really get any good township advice on what the permit, advice would be. But like, is sonotubes requirement? Is it overkill? Like, can we just go with the deck blocks and 4x4s or?
Like I mean, if you can get away with deck blocks and 4x4s, it's so much easier, right? Asterisk, if you do it like in your area, if you got the shield there, I mean, the like never going to move, tried, tested, and true is you just dig off as much topsoil as you can to find the bedrock. And then you take a carbide drill and you just drill in a little bit. And then you can put your sonotube on top of that and put a piece of rebar. So it's kind of attached to the bedrock. And then a piece of rebar is in this concrete form. So sonotubes are basically picture like a toilet roll that you fill with concrete, but a big one like this, this big.
Yeah.
And that way you've tied your sonotube into your bedrock. It is never going to move. You could get away. You could probably do, 4 of those and it's never going to move, right? I might recommend a few more, but I like in our PDF that we've sent you, it's like do 12. It's overkill, but better safe than sorry. But in general, if you've done it that way and you've tied into the bedrock, it's never going to move. However, you might find when you start digging, like there's bedrock in one corner and then the other corner, you got to dig, like, you know what I mean? So, I've mostly gone with just gravel and deck blocks, but I'm not on the Canadian Shield. So I've got a nice, well-drained kind of gravelly hill to work with. That's at my place. So,
But if you're not going down, you're not going down the frost line and stuff, I guess there's a danger that things will shift a little bit. You'll have to.
Yeah. And it's not the end of the world. I mean, if you have a corner that dips or whatever, you can just jack it up and fix it. It's just a little bit annoying,
Okay.
So yeah, it's like nothing is undoable. It's just a bunkie. Like you can get it right even if something shifts. So yeah, that's something to consider.
Okay, helpful. Thank you.
Lori, are you in the private Facebook group for Bunkie Life clients?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you should join it.
Yeah, it's a good idea to join that. I can send you the link and you can ask that question there. If there's, maybe somebody lives in that same or has built in the same area and might know.
Yeah. Oh, that was actually a good thing to remind me. So a good thing is like peek around at other people's bunkies or other people's sheds. What do they do? And is it dilapidated and falling apart or is it still standing? That would be a good, do what's working in the area.
Okay. Yeah, because ours is being delivered in a couple of weeks. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to get my head around what we need to do ahead of time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, hope it's helpful.
Okay, I have a question. I
Yeah,
did send it in. I'm not sure whether you got it or not. And it's regarding the silicone and the joints that you recommend.
Yep.
And I'm looking at various products, but I know that silicone alone often repels paint and stain.
Mm-hmm.
Have you come across a particular name brand product that you'd recommend that stands up that you can stain or paint in those edges to prevent the water from coming in, but also will take the stain?
Totally. That's a good question. So a lot of times I've always just stained it first. And then, so that's out of the way. And then I use a clear stain.
Okay.
So that's been like my strategy. I haven't got, there are paintable caulk, right? Or paintable silicone. It says paintable on it.
Well, there's paintable caulk, but it's not necessarily silicone.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Silicone's the best for
exterior
for repelling the water.
Yeah. So I would say if you can get away with it, how exposed is your bunkie build area? Is it like right in the middle of a field or is there some tree cover?
No, there's some tree cover. It is an open area. We just had the land prepared a couple of weeks ago. And we actually started a year ago to work with the person. We had to take some trees down. So the base is there and it's really good, but it still will get rain on it. And that was the question. I just have to make sure that there's a recommendation that you 4 to 6 weeks before you do any staining or painting.
Yeah.
So getting leaks in that over those 6 weeks shouldn't be an issue, but that's a good idea to stain first and then use the clear caulking after.
Yeah.
And
so-
regarding stain, the question about the photo you have on the 2019, David, is has the red roof on it.
Yep.
What stain did you use on that? It's a particular look that we are fond of.
Yeah, so that's a Sanson SDF stain. I think I used 2 or 3 coats. And that bunkie is so Sanson SDF, and I believe it's like cedar or red cedar was the name of the actual color.
Okay.
Although that was like, I don't know if you've been to my place recently, but like I stained that probably 4 years ago now, and it still looks like almost brand new.
Okay.
And they may have changed the name since then. So like I'm always hesitant to be like, it's the red cedar or whatever, because it's like sometimes they riff on that a little. But yeah, that's been a really like it's and the thing is I put Thompson water seal on originally, and it kind of looked terrible after like no time at all. So so that was like a rescue job. So it's even more miraculous that it looks that good. So that was just like I sanded it down pretty well because I had to get the old stuff off, and then I applied 2 coats of, and they recommend 3, but I think I ended up only had time for 2. So yeah, if you can find Sanson, just sanson.com, SANSIN, they have dealerships and you can just find them. And
Yeah, it's a good product. I've used it on chairs and benches at the cottage for the last 10 years. I put it on 1 coat and it's lasted that length of time. It's really good product.
yeah, it is. I'm a fan too. So, and I don't get paid to say that. I'm a fan.
No.
So, yeah. Paula had some questions, but she doesn't remember them. Is there a way to look that up, Heather?
No, she might have to ask them again.
Okay. Well, it might be in the invite. I may be able to check that. But anyways, sorry. Did Suzanne or Steve Garrick's? Anybody else have any questions? I guess while we fish for any. Yeah.
Yeah, just Suzanne. So just to kind of reiterate, because I did jump onto the last call, and it was
Okay.
just so amazing just hearing from everybody else and writing notes. But so Canadian Shield, similar building area, so just north of Perry Sound, and it's flat and it's solid rock. And I inferred from the last session that you almost were discouraging sonotubes and they weren't really that necessary, and just the gravel and the cedar, the blocks would be fine, and a little shifting, as you repeated, the shifting thing is okay, but I'm getting the feeling now that maybe I should be thinking about the sonotubes after all.
Yeah, it's such a site dependent thing. I'm like hesitant to. It's almost like I feel like a lawyer, but I'm like, if you're, it really like, sorry, Gil, are you a lawyer?
No, but I'm an engineer.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't think it relate to what I'm saying. It's like, if let's say you're like on sheer rock, then yeah, I probably would recommend for sure you got to tie into that. If you have enough topsoil where you can kind of make it work with gravel, then maybe, yeah, it doesn't sound like that. So,
Okay.
so yeah, that's why I'm always hesitant to be like, this is the right solution for your foundation. It really depends on your area and a few other factors. Luckily you're flat, so that's nice.
Yes. I was just going to get a dump load of gravel and kind of go with that because the road's pretty rough on the way in 2 for 1, but okay, thank you. So I'll
yeah, it's a job. It's not the other world. You can rent those really good drills from like a Lowe's or Home, and I've done it lots of times. You just need a really good carbide bit, and you can do it yourself, or you can, like, there are guys that do that, but it's probably almost less of a hassle to do it yourself. It's not really that hard.
okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming.
I have a question.
Yeah, fire away, Eric.
Just in terms of the hardware that the kit comes with, I noticed in the instructions, you kind of recommended framing a nail gun to put in the nails.
It'll just save you a ton of time. It's like not necessary. Which kit did you buy, Eric?
The Chalet.
Oh, the Chalet. So it'll come with everything you need in terms of screws. So you can actually screw the floorboards and the nail, and I believe there's enough screws to do the floorboards and the roof boards. We just found, like, if you can get, especially for the floorboards, those little, even battery powered nailers.
Yeah.
It'll just save you like hours and hours and hours of kind of like screw. You know what I mean? Okay. And you can
but
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it would be like a framing nail gun, though, right? And I'd have to.
No, you don't have to use a framing nail gun. You can get by, especially on the floorboards. You can get by with just a battery powered one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a project I love, so we're gonna take our time doing it.
Yeah. Take
I'll
your
do the
time.
roof manually, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
quick question. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, far away. Sorry. I just see your phone number. I don't have your name. So
Sorry, it's Trevor. I've got, I built last summer, sorry to interject, but I built one of the, I guess it's now the Haven, but it was a 2021 with loft.
cool.
Does it come with trim? I know, like I've got two other bunkies I've built adjacent to it. The 19 without the loft and the bathroom bunkie. I was just curious, it didn't come with any floor trim, is that?
Yeah, we haven't been including trim in the newer bunkies, just because just a variety of reasons why. The older models would often come with trim, but you had to cut yourself. But we just found a lot of people riffed on what they want to do with trim anyway, so we didn't include it in the newer stuff. So the Haven bunkie and the Chalet won't have that little floor trim. Some people don't even like the look of it, so it's just kind of an aesthetic. You can, it should be tight enough where you don't need trim. It's just like a nice to have.
Right.
Yeah, so there's no missing trim in your case on the 2020.
That's kind of, thanks. That's what I was just wondering about. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I have a,
Trevor, I think I spoke to you about your delivery last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's your bunkies? You say you have 3. How are things working out with them?
Yeah, it's great. We love them all. I'm just kind of finishing up the 19 with my other question would be just having a little trouble with the window on the 19 no loft.
Beside the door?
Really, yes, correct. Is it? I may put another window in after, but don't want to bore you guys with all the details. But just that window is really stiff. Is there some sort of trick to get it to, like it won't open? It seems really. I'm about 2 days into the build, so I'm almost finished. But
have you got you've got the boards above it done, and like you're working on the roof now?
Yes. Yeah, everything's done. The floor is almost done. Yeah.
Okay, so is it, so sometimes if there's like a weird pressure on the windows, they'll kind of feel a little bit tighter than normal, you know?
Yeah.
You might want to take a level and make sure it's like seated perfectly level. And then another thing is, like, if you picture the wall, right? If there's, so this is the gap where the window goes, right? If the wall's a little bit like just a little kind of cocked, even just like a little bit of that, because there's those kind of floaty pieces between the door and the window on that one.
Right.
And there's the corner, there's not a lot of like solid until you get that final piece above it. So it might just be like this guy trying to search, like this guy's kind of pushing that way, and this guy's doing, like, it might be a little bit of that over.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's not too often. Every once in a while, a door will be a little bit like bindy, you know, and you usually kind of fix that with screws or just adjustments. But it's trickier on the windows. I haven't had too many windows that are sticky.
Okay, well, we'll play around with it. If there's something else, we'll certainly follow up. But
one more idea, Trevor. Sorry to cut you off, Trevor. One more idea is you could remove the bottom frame pieces and just see if you can kind of straighten it. If it's not level, just put a shim underneath either side and see if you can kind of get it.
Originally, when we put it together, we had it upside down for, I guess we just weren't really watching too closely, and that was a problem because once we put the gable on, it wouldn't fit. And I'm thinking, what happened? But anyway, it flipped it around, and I don't know. So we had to pull the middle pieces out and then reinstalled it, and it was fine, but it's really stiff, like it won't open. So we'll play around with it and figure it.
This might be a ridiculous question, but it's opening in, right? Opening into the bunkie?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Opening in.
Okay, good. That's all right then.
Yeah. No. Yeah, good point. I've kind of done it all. So anyway,
I've been there. I could tell you stories for an hour of embarrassing stories of me doing something stupid. So I'm not the only one. Andrew had a question, I think, as well, right?
Yeah, I have a couple basically. So I got we have the Haven loft on order.
Cool.
I think next month it's coming.
Yeah.
And so I'm planning we got landscaping done, so we got gravel put down. So nice. I'm just got to plan I got to build the foundation.
Yep.
And someone gave me a tip that I could build the foundation put the flooring on it and then tip it up and then do a spray foam insulation and then put it back down. So I wouldn't have to like crawl under it, do anything weird like that.
Yeah.
But the instructions don't tell you to do the flooring until quite a bit later. Is there a good reason for that? Or is there or is that?
It's really up to you. You can do it anytime. So don't feel like you have to do that way. I just always found it like you put the floor down first, then you got muddy boots tramping into the floor quite a bit.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
And then it's really like if you haven't stained it yet, it's kind of annoying to get stains out of raw wood.
Yeah.
Especially if it's raining a little bit or even just slightly muddy. It's like a real big job. So if you do the floor first, you can usually use the Bunkie packaging as kind of like a temporary tarp, and it usually fits pretty nice in that space. It's kind of, but you usually find like there's whatever you do, there's going to be a boot print on some of the floor.
Yeah.
No.
I guess the other option is I can put plywood down over the frame.
Yeah.
And then then it would take the foam, and that might work.
Yeah. Like, what's your plan? What's your kind of insulation plan? Is it like one layer, or is it spray foam? Is the goal?
I was either going to do the spray foam or get because I'm taking the plans came with the two suggested foundations. I'm gonna do the one with the 2x8 cross beams or whatever.
Yeah, cool.
And so I could cut foam core to go like foam insulation into it, or I can spray it. So I'm not sure which one's best, but I figured the spray would really fill things up.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like,
gaps.
I was lucky enough that I have the 2020 Bunkie, but similar to what you have, and it's on a bit of a hill, so like the guys could crawl underneath there and get a full like coating of spray foam, and it's good. But like the Scottish guy in me says, like you can get by, like there's different degrees, different layers of how hardcore you want your floor to be insulated, and you can just like you have a good inch and a half. I think who was I talking about that with earlier? Sharon Stevens' iPad. We were talking about that, and you can just throw an inch and a half of styrofoam really easily and without any much fuss. But there's going to be little gaps, and it's going to be perfect. And it's only an inch and a half, so
okay,
yeah. Hope that's helpful.
I guess, and I've never done sonotubes. I've seen other projects where it's just like the big the concrete footing, and you have the 4x4s or 6x6 that sit on that, and then raise it up, and you bolt it to those 4x4s.
Yeah.
How hard I don't know. How hard is sonotubes? What do you? I don't know if
I've
anyone has opinion on.
done a whole lot. It's just a lot of digging, right?
Yeah, that's what I don't really want to do. We put in gravel. And
yeah, you got the gravel. I think you're fine with the gravel. Yeah, like there's no, like it's not in the middle of a field where you get.
It's right next to, just next to our house. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're okay.
Okay, and then the one last question I had was I think one of the videos said it, or the email said that it's going to come with some pressure treated wood for the base, but I was a little confused. Like, wait a minute, I'm building the base, so what's that an additional runners? I guess it is.
Yeah. The runners are going to sit. If say your decks are going, that's what your deck's going this way, like north south. They're going to go east west or vice versa.
Okay.
So that's just to keep like for your floor to go into.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let I guess see 2 hands raised, so I'll let them go.
Cool. So let's well, I'm just gonna see if I can actually see what Paula's questions were, because I know she emailed them in, and I think they'll tell me.
Yeah, it was about the insulation and the flooring, which has been answered, but the other question was about the stain.
Right.
And can you pre-stain all those pieces before you even bother to?
Yeah, that's a great question.
build?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've always stained after the fact. And the reasoning for me is if let's say you have like a face of the wall is like, multiple layers of Bunkie's board, then if you stain it after the fact, the stain's going to kind of be like almost a continuous sheet of stain, or like a continuous kind of, right? Same with your corners. You're kind of like staining the corners, and it's like a little bit of an extra layer of kind of almost like a coat, right? If it's continuous. And so like, if you think about it from a waterproofing perspective, that's probably better. Whereas if you're saying individual boards, then it's kind of like a dried board hits a dried board, and there's still a little bit of it's not like a seal. Does that make sense? But I think you might save a lot of time if you just stain the whole thing, especially if you like the look on the outside to be the same as the inside, and you're staining the whole thing. Like, there's a company that was talking about taking our Bunkies and then dipping them in their crazy stain, and then we could ship a stained Bunkie. But it'll also add a little bit of a layer on the corners, and the corners are manufactured to be pretty tight. Like for those of you like Trevor's who's built 1 or 2 Bunkies, like they come together and they're pretty So if you add a couple layers of stain, it's like, it's even more,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know?
okay.
So yeah, so it's like, I would say if you
Maybe
can,
not.
yeah, maybe wait till after, but I'm interested, like, I bet you there's people that have done it beforehand and had great success with it. So I'm not going to say don't do that, but I just think like for those factors, if you can, it might be easier to stain after the fact.
I've actually never heard of anyone saying that. A lot of people think about it and they think that maybe it's a good idea to get ahead or it may be easier that way, but I don't think I've ever heard of anyone doing it, to be honest.
It would definitely be easier to sand it, right? Because there's a lot of sanding if you're going to do it the way Sanson recommends. So you could just like lay them all out and just sand it quick, as opposed to like up here and sanding for an it takes me longer to sustain a bunkie if I do the sanding way than it does to build the bunkie. Just be straight up about that. So it's a big job, but you can give it to your teenage kids and just like have at her, and they can do it over the course of a week, right? That's why you have children. Yeah, great questions, though, Paul. I appreciate the questions. Christina asks, our site for the summer cabin is mainly sandy loam. Would it be a good idea to put gravel down? Yes, I would say in your case, it's probably not, you're not going to regret gravel. Andrew also asked, has anyone done heated flooring, or is that not correct? I think you can get away with heated flooring, because you were talking about a good spray foam, right? So if you have a good, you want to make sure if you're going to heat the floor, you have a good insulated kind of base to work with, right? So the heat's going up into the bunkie.
I actually spoke to Ryan Doan about that, and he didn't recommend it because of a safety issue. If anything ever goes wrong, he had a few reasons. I can find them, but I mean, maybe we're talking about different types of.
Yeah, is it actually? That's a good question. So is this electric heat, or is it like a water or a?
I don't know. I was thinking of looking into systems and seeing what's available. I just wasn't sure if you weren't supposed to do that out of wood, if that dries out the wood or something like that. Where usually it's like you do like a concrete flooring. With,
like I've got a hydronic
system underneath
or
something.
We did hydronic flooring at our place, but it's concrete, and so it's concrete's a little more like universally going to distribute the heat, whereas like wood, I think it might be. I'm not gonna say no, but until someone's like tried and had success with it, I'm not going to recommend it myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Oh, Gil, the engineer has a question, but he could probably educate us all.
Well, I'm an aerospace engineer, nothing to do with building a bunkie. That'd be my first one.
Okay, cool.
We just bought the chalet bunkie, and we also bought the bathroom bunkie, or the small one.
Yep.
And your diagram shows 12 sonotubes, and there's like 39 inches apart and 60 inches apart roughly.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but a 2x10 on a 39-inch center is kind of overkill.
Yeah. So this is okay. There's every relationship has like the gas and the brakes, right? And this is a situation where I'm the gas. I'm like, I would just do 4 corners and have at her.
There
and
you
my
go.
wife is like, make sure that it's like soup. Like when my wife and my father-in-law and myself built the house. Like I don't know if you've been to our house, but like the big blue house behind.
Yeah, I've been there, Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah. So we built that ourselves, and every single job was like, okay, let's get going, guys. And then Carrie and her dad, like, no, we have to make sure it's straight and perfect. And like, so it took us 5 years. It's really solid. But yeah, I'm not going to not recommend what Carrie told me to recommend, but I will say if I was doing it, I'd probably just have gravel and deck blocks or just 4 corners.
I'm gonna do the 4 corners, deck blocks on the centers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know
Second
how to
question.
Yeah.
Very easy. What's the distance between the sleeper board and the lip of the door? I need to know how thick my hardwood flooring can be.
Oh, you want to add it? Like you're going to do different flooring?
We're gonna do hardwood.
Are you going to do on top of the deck blocks? Or sorry, on top of the existing floor that we give you?
We're gonna put a subfloor. Yeah.
Yeah.
The subfloor you guys have. Then we're gonna put hardwood. And what's my dimension I'm allowed?
I'm gonna have to email you about that. I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, Heather, can you make sure that we write Gil about that? Because make sure I got your right email address.
I have 2 different kinds of flooring. I can use either one. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Third question, very quick.
The chalet you're talking about?
Yeah, the chalet bunkie. The bathroom bunkie doesn't matter. The third question is we're looking at the Cube Mini for the fireplace.
Yep.
From that thing in Quebec.
Yep.
Has anybody done that project that you know of? And if any recommendations, what are they? And do you have already a a kit already decided. In other words, you know what the materials, because I'm going through their sizing chart and it's kind of like,
Yeah, it's borderline between the grizzly and the smaller
Cub.
cub. Yeah, it's so we did it for last year. We did it for all the models we had, and then basically as a general rule of thumb, it was like no loft models were the cub, and then the lofted ones were the grizzly. The chalet is a little bit different because it's got the tall ceilings, right?
yes.
You're right on the border. So, you know, probably I would lean towards the grizzly because a lot of heat's just gonna rise up and kind of hang out on
Yeah.
top of your bunkie. I'd probably just lean towards the grizzly and you just kind of back it off a little bit. They have a double burn chamber. They have an adjustable flue. It's a pretty like legit wood stove, and you can kind of dial it back or open it. You crack a window open if it's like too hot.
Too hot.
But
Yeah.
if it's not enough, then it's annoying. So I'd probably push it towards grizzly. We actually have to take the time to email them and say, what do you recommend? And give us the number of pipes and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, this is it. I mean, you've got a standard kit. They should be able to come up with a standard plan for
Yep.
that.
And we do have that for all the other models. Just I don't think we've taken the time to do that on the chalet. So let's add that to the Gill follow-up.
Just
right.
something there. I did a lot of research on that in January and February and asked a lot of cubic mini wood stove owners. And really what it came down to was like, even though the company recommends a certain size based on the size of the bunkie, I mean, there's a loss of heat in a bunkie that's different than some of the structures they're dealing with. So they recommend a cub for their buses, for example. That's a big thing that they sell their wood stove for. And so they say, okay, well, if you have this square footage, then you should be okay with a cub. However, the feedback that I got from most of the people with a cubic mini wood stove, they all wish they went with the grizzly because they wanted more heat emitted. They wanted, actually the big thing is with the cub, it's a real pain to have that little the small kindling or whatever. It's a pain to cut it that small and be refilling it. So the feedback across the board was, even though the cubic mini wood stove would recommend probably the cub for the size, the grizzly was a more functional, more suitable for the
Right.
bunkie.
Okay. That's good. That's good information.
Yeah, and I can send you actually that post because there was also some other very good information that people shared on that. It was quite popular. I shared it on Instagram and Facebook, and really good feedback on there.
Okay.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention is you were talking about the foundation, and yeah, I totally agree with everything David said and what you said. What's interesting is when people actually try to get a permit when they're in those areas and they require them, like they tell me that they have to put concrete down and it's like strong enough for a jet to land on it. So it all depends on your area as well. And even though it may seem like overkill, sometimes, you know, it just depends on, yeah, there's a lot of factors to take into consideration there.
Yeah, that was
I
what,
wanted to mention that.
that was what I was trying to say to Suzanne as well earlier. It's like kind of, it's so site dependent, and so like how anal is your local building authority, you know, if you're going the permit route. So it's like, yeah, we just try to recommend the biggest.
It's hard to blanket it. Yeah. And then something else about the bathroom bunkie. Trevor, was it you that I spoke to about adding a window to your bathroom bunkie?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you ended up not getting it. Was that right?
Correct. Yeah. Well, it was kind of my error. I thought it was included. Now this is on the 19 no loft. So we're using it as an office, but I think we're going to leave it as is and then just see if, you know, depending on how hot or cold it is, at times it may be warm in the summer, is then just maybe add a window later on. But
yeah, but I thought we talked about, sorry to interrupt. I thought we talked about adding a window to the bathroom bunkie.
Oh, we did. Yes. Yeah, we didn't end up going with that, but I think what we'll do, it's just vented a little bit. That was my only concern, but it's great. Yeah, the bathroom bunkie's awesome. Really nice product.
Actually, somebody put in a cat door vent thing. They put that into the vent, their bathroom bunkie. And actually this summer she wants to remove the window and put a screen in it. So she's thinking of a contraption to do that.
Oh, yeah. I don't need the cat, but I'd be interested in the contraption.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Sorry guys, just on the topic of the chalet, I noticed on the roof dimensions, there's kind of two numbers, like 191 versus 192, for example, for the length. Is there a reason for that?
Well, that's a good
There's two different, sorry?
Are those two different like two different sets of plans?
two different documents. There was one that just says, I think it's one PDF, one page, it says roof
Right.
dimensions. So it's like 192 by something, but then the detailed diagram is actually 191. So I'm
Yeah,
wondering
I
which
see
one.
that.
That's not good.
I'm wondering which one I
You gotta
should
fix
go
that
with.
before you got- Yeah, you gotta fix that. I wonder if it's maybe.
Is
I
it
don't
for
know.
like the trim? Like if you're putting, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Heather, let's make sure.
I don't think that was intentional, but definitely would be happy. We're glad we're doing this. We're happy to make
Yeah,
that
that's really
change.
good feedback, Eric. 'Cause have you ordered your roof already?
No, I don't know what I'm doing for the roof. I'm still thinking if I'm going to do shingles or metal, or it's
Yeah.
just up in the air right now. But
If you do shingles, it'll be a non-issue, but let's make sure it
Right.
gets right for everybody, because it might just be carry out an inch so people order a little bit of an overhang, but I don't think that you would do that. So yeah, we'll get that corrected. I'm gonna actually mess with it right now, and make sure that that's something we want to fix right away.
I sent in my roof request for both my bunkies, and the hardware store went, yeah, no problem, done.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I was very pleased with that, very pleased.
Yeah, we try to make it just like really stupid simple for the hardware stores, because I've had a few.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna say Haven measurements are different on the
Chalet, isn't it?
Chalet. Yeah.
chalet. Thank you. Chalet. The chalet
This
measurement.
one.
Okay, cool.
And,
Resting
and
this
Gil,
note.
you already have it right there handy.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. It's good feedback. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. I'm gonna get that corrected ASAP.
Thanks.
You're talking about windows. I've got a question.
Yeah, far away.
First of all, we've ordered a second window.
Yeah.
And in your video, you show that you're putting a window in where you've had to cut the hole in. I would assume that it's much easier to cut the wood as you build the bunkie.
Yes.
And it probably makes it much easier for dimensions. Would that be correct?
Yeah, because you can just go and measure that physical hole before you put the first window in, and then you can go, boom, it's exactly.
And just chop it off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can also cut one board at a time as well. Yeah, because retrofitting it, I don't know if you saw in the video, I kind of went on a weird angle and I had to cut it twice. So it's a very good measure 3 times, cut once.
Well, Sawzall blades are a little bit rough anyways, so
yeah,
they're not as straight as a chop saw would be.
Mm.
And the other part of the window question is regarding building screens for the windows. Now, I would imagine it would be better if you could get screening material that's metal as opposed to the nylon.
That's not a matter of choice, I think. I've used both over the years, and there's good nylon. You can buy like kind of heavier. Yeah. So have you already got your kit already?
No, it comes the 12th of July.
Okay, and it's the 2019 loft?
Correct.
Yeah, so we've transitioned from making that with the older versions are made in Europe, and the newer ones are made at our factory in Erin. So don't buy the screen material. You might actually be getting screen material. We kind of transitioned. Yeah, I would have to look. That would be a question for Carrie of which model you're getting. But like we're kind of, as of right now, I think we're out of all the European ones, and it's just the ones we make ourselves. So it might be a little, but you might not have a non-issue for that.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just another interesting side about the cutting as you go for the window. Again, a contractor, Ryan Doan, said he actually, even though it's tempting to do it that way, he leaves it to the end in case there's a boo-boo along the way and you actually use the wrong board and you have to fix it. He just said, he makes sure everything is built perfectly and settled, and then he cuts. So that's just another way of looking at it. It made sense when he said, it's very easy for someone to pick up the wrong board and think it's perfect and then realize later and you're kind of messed if you've already done the cut. So just something else to take into consideration there. It's okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Gil has a good question that he asked me. If I hope it's okay to say it publicly, Gil. What door locking hardware comes with the Bunkie? So, so you're getting a chalet, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so that is going to come with like a kind of standard. I think it's either a doorknob or a lever, but it's basically like the standard doorknob lock you'd see in a doorknob.
Okay.
With the key already, with like a metal key included. So if you
Yeah.
want to switch that out, it's relatively easy to switch that out to like.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Carrie. Yeah.
Asked and answered. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, cool. Carrie, you wanted to say something?
The answer?
Yeah, come on.
It's easy.
Okay, come on over.
I don't want to be on camera.
Okay, well,
I'll just say it.
come on.
Okay. No, the difference in the two drawings is that the roof dimension sheet takes into account the fascia that's on each edge. And the other one does not, because you
Oh.
add the fascia,
And
which
that's
then
it,
adds the
adding an inch.
dimensions. Yes.
Okay, so we were overthinking what you'd already thought of that. Okay,
I already thought it through.
so just ignore in terms of the full total length, the
You
192
want to
makes
go
sense.
with your roof dimension specs to order your roof.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Yeah, I think that was Eric's question, I think, right?
Yeah, so it is 192 then.
Yeah.
That's what we go with. Okay.
Because you're probably looking at the length of the board is 191, right? The actual roof board, but then you got to
And
add
then the fascia. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
straight from the brain's mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Okay, we got to the bottom of that one. Okay, what other questions do we have? Gary, did you have a question for us?
Actually, there was a woman was speaking earlier, said she was from Perth.
Okay,
Yeah, so I'm from Perth as well.
nice.
So maybe you could pass on to her my email or something that we could touch base privately or.
That's
Oh,
Lori.
hi.
Oh, Lori's right there, actually.
You guys
Yeah,
can just
Lori.
DM each other, swipe right, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, Balderson, Gary. I have a little
You're
piece
Balderson?
of land on Bennett Lake. Yeah.
Okay, you're just a bit north of me.
I don't know if you guys are in the Facebook group, but there's been a lot of cool things. Like last month, there was a family that like had a contractor bail on them, and then this girl Teresa, who's bought 4 bunkies now. I think she rents them out. Her and her partner went and built their bunkie for them. So there's a lot of that warms my heart. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're helping each other, because if you've gone through one bunkie build, you're pretty much an expert now, right? So Trevor, like,
Yeah.
right?
Trevor's
like
an
to
expert.
think so.
Trevor, you're gonna have to start selling your services. We have people.
Yeah. If anybody needs a side hustle on Saturday, man, you could make some good coin.
I'd like to think I'm an expert. Not so sure. My brother, maybe.
Oh yeah, your brother. Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah. That's
Gary,
right.
can you just give us a hint of that area in Perth, or like, because somebody else was talking about the Canadian Shield as well.
I'm just 15 minutes west of Perth. So I'm not right on the shield. So I have rocky soil, rocky sandy soil. So when I built the cottage, I did dig down and it varied from 18 inches to about 3 feet. So it depends where you are. And I've built both poured footings and also used sonotube.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're both more work, that's for sure. When you talk about putting gravel down, I saw one of the videos that had like a pad full of gravel. Are there just gravel with a patio slab on top? How much gravel do you put down?
I'd say at least 2 inches if you can, ideally like 3-4 inches. And you don't have to put like a sea of gravel. You can just put them underneath individual block, right? If you kind of done a little bit of due diligence and dug out some of the loose topsoil, you can kind of just make it individual to each block. And then it also makes it really easy to level out each block, right? Because you're kind of, this one's a little high, so you just kind of scooch it around and then you can get it relatively level, So
Do you suggest like a 1-inch crushed gravel or a crushed limestone?
I do like,
packs?
I like the compacting crushed gravel. If you got, someone said they had pea gravel is the really kind of rounded stuff. So if you can, I forget what someone else was using a different kind of gravel.
I think 3/4 crushed limestone is good for like because it's jagged and interlocks.
Yeah. Yeah. If you, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I've done like other gravel too, but it's just, if you can get the compacting stuff, it's a little bit easier to work with and less likely to kind of spill out over time.
Right.
Steve Garrick, I know you're not Steve, but did you have a question?
Well, my question was about what kind of stain to put on.
Okay.
I think that's been answered. I have written down Sensen.com SDF stain, red cedar.
Yeah. There's also a really excellent video on the website. If you go to how to build a bunkie and you scroll down, you'll see how to stain. And David did an amazing video with the rep from Sanson. It's like every time I watch it, I think, wow, like I would never have known how to stain properly if I didn't watch this video. And I would highly recommend checking that out for sure. Yeah.
What's the name of this video again? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Well, it's on the website. If you go how to build a bunkies in the main menu, and then if you go on that page, you'll see how to stain and preserve a bunkie.
Perfect.
And he actually talks about staining from the bottom up, which is to me was completely illogical until I understood his explanation and just like the temperature. It's just a lot of realistic and reason like facts about stain, even the right brush to use, you know, how to consider the temperature and the time of day. It's really, really well done.
I'll make sure my wife watches that.
Yeah, it's funny too, actually. It's entertaining. So I would recommend it.
I can't paint to save my life. Thank you.
You're welcome. Dana had a question as well. Which type of Sanson sealant stain do you recommend? That video will explain that as well. But David, the short Coles notes of that.
Yeah, SDF was there's one called ENS, which is a little more like for furniture grade. So it's a little more like, I've used both. So they recommend 3 coats of one of their products. So usually you do at least 1 or 2 coats of SDF. And then if you want to finish with SDF, that's fine. Or you can finish with ENS, which is, it's like, it was like almost $100 for the little can, but that little can did the whole bunkie. And it just makes it more like, you know, like really good furniture that's like kind of plastic, almost plasticky feeling, but you know, it's still wood. That's kind of finished with that ENS type of like, plasticky is not the right description, but it
satin?
really
Is it like a satin kind
solid.
of finish?
It just feels more like almost like an enamel finish. And so a little bit of that goes a long way. And as a finishing coat, like I did my my grill cabin with that, and I think I did my Haven with that too. So you know, it's a matter of taste, but there's also different levels of like translucency, so like if you go with a really translucent stain, you're going to see all the knots in the wood. If you go with more of a solid stain, like a solid version of the color, then you won't see the wood. It's like almost like you painted it. That makes sense. So you have a few options, but that video should explain a lot of that, I think.
And Dana's asking, has anyone used spar urethane?
I think I might have used that on a floor one time, but I don't think I've ever used it outside. So I can't
It's too bad Alan wasn't here. We had a client in the past ask me anything, and he knew his stains, and he would have known exactly what that one was for. But the other thing is, Dana, just ask in that private Facebook group and see if anybody else has used it. That would be the best, best suggestion.
The general consensus is like, everyone's been super happy with their Sansons. I've heard nothing but bad things about Thompson Larsdale, and I also got screwed by them myself. And then there's like middle of the road stuff like Q-Tech Extreme. Some people said good, some people said bad. And then there's like the Bear kind of stain. I think that's like either the Home Depot or the Lowe's. I'm not sure their brand, and I think I've never heard bad things about them, but everyone's always been really speaking highly of Sanson. So that might be you know, the direction to go.
Christina, did you have any questions?
I think she's still eating her supper.
Oh, and how about Randy? Randy, do you have any questions? No.
No questions for me, just listening.
Okay.
Hope it's helpful. All right. Well,
I have a little input on urethanes. Don't take it for gospel, but anything that doesn't breathe is going to peel. So that's like your paint. It eventually peels, gets some moisture, gets underneath. I believe the same thing may happen with the urethane. I've tried it on fences, like a railing. Looked lovely for a while, not so much after some time, but something to at least ask about. for what you're gonna use it for.
Yeah, there's another company called Osmo, OSMO, and I used their stain. It's called One Coat on some cedar, and it's beautiful. So I'm thinking of using that. I'll just get more information on the vertical. I use it on kind of a ceiling, but not.
Yeah, I think the more like we kind of do our basic due diligence on it, like, if you want to try a different product, go for it, and then just let us know how it goes and let us know how it holds up over time too, right? Like, I can confidently say, like, my Sanson one that I did really well on that red cedar bunkie that you guys have probably seen at my house. It's held up very well over the years. So yeah, and then don't use paint. So I didn't really mention that earlier, but like he was mentioning, like, paint is not made for a wood product, and it's gonna flake and peel.
Yeah, Eric, maybe check out that video as well to see what the rep from Sanson has to say. I mean, it sounds like we work for Sanson, and we don't. It's just that
Yeah, no, this is.
they actually won't even give us, like, we've asked
Yeah.
for a prize. We can't even get a prize from them. So it's like we're literally cut ties from that kind of thing. So yeah, it's nothing to do with that at all. It's a Canadian company, and they do a lot of log home type things. If you go on their website, you can tell they're doing really nice structures. And David, how did you find them? Oh, it was recommended by somebody.
Multiple
right?
clients recommend. That's how we find everybody. Cubic mini wood stoves. Everybody's just, if 5 or 6
Tells
clients
us
talk to
about
me,
them.
if I talk to 5 clients in a month that have all recommended.
Found it from your website.
Oh, sorry, say that again.
I found it off your website,
Yep.
off the Bunkie Life website.
Yep. And I think
Yeah,
we
that's
found
right.
it 5 years ago. It was just like, okay, who's out there and who's recommending what? And it was pretty unanimous on Sanson.
And we've never had negative feedback ever about it. So that's always makes us want to continue to recommend. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's give something away. Let's do something. So everyone showed up tonight. Appreciate that. Let's okay, we're gonna give away a book, right? Okay, so I've got a copy of the Bunkie Life Extra Space book. It may be on back order, so you might not get it until right before Christmas time, but you will get this book in the mail. And here's how I'd like to do it. Okay, everyone knows how to chat in Zoom, right? Most of you figured out how to chat. Just make sure you can test. Make sure you can chat. I'm gonna play a song on the guitar. If you can recognize the name of the song, okay, and yell out the name of the song, or not yell out, type in the name of the song, right? Then you're the first person that I see on the chat, then you win a copy of Bunkie Life Extra Space written by myself. All right, everyone cool with that? Type in Y if you are ready to chat. Okay, just as a test. Okay, all right.
How do you type that in, Sharon?
See, I did it for you, Sharon Stevens' iPad. Just make sure you're.
I don't know how to type it in.
oh, at the bottom under chat. Might have to hover over the area.
Don't have any
No, we don't have any here. That's okay. Go
on
ahead.
the iPad.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, Sharon Steve iPad will be ineligible. Okay, everyone ready? Name this song. Well, don't it always seem to go? But you don't know what you got till it's gone. You pay paradise to put on parking lot. You pay paradise to put up a parking lot.
Big Yellow Taxi.
Oh, that's the right answer.
He wins.
Okay, so technically Dana typed in Big Yellow Taxi correctly, but he did say it faster. So what do you think? Should we give two books away? Yeah, we'll do 2 books. Sharon Stevens' iPad ironically wins.
Well done. Well done.
I said, oh, he's excluded, and then he went, and then Dana will get you one too. So
Well, I think the rule was you had to type it in, but I mean, This was not your fault. You couldn't use the bottom of your iPad. Okay.
It reminds me too much of my dad failing to use technology, so I'm gonna have to also honor his submission.
At my age, I'm lucky just to turn it on.
Okay, so make sure you got everybody's addresses or whatever. Or just chat to Heather your address where you want.
Can you send it to heather@bunkielife.com?
Yeah.
Please.
Like Dana, did you get that? You are the winner as well. Dana and Sharon Stevens iPad. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. All right.
And Dave, you came in pretty soon after as well. So congratulations on that.
Very close. Okay. Any other pressing questions? One thing I wanted to communicate to everybody too. We got a couple cool things coming out. I'm going to send an email probably to everyone tomorrow. And so if you haven't yet got your Bunkie, like your bed, we partnered with this really great company that manufactures their stuff right in Canada, and they make kind of like they can mail it to your cottage. You can open it up and the mattress will expand out of the box. They're called Haven. We found them because we named a Bunkie Haven and then found out how awesome they were. So we're partnering with them if you still need a mattress, and they also have like pillows and other things too, but they're known for their mattresses. And then also I've basically my brother-in-law has a friend that does small heat pumps and air conditioning units all across Ontario. So we're going to have those two come out. So if you're thinking about heating and cooling your Bunkie, or you need a bed still, just be on the lookout for that. I'm going to email everyone about that tomorrow. And we're going to also start our Canada Day sale tomorrow too. And that doesn't really apply to anyone here, but that'll all be in the email. So, so any other things that we wanted to, I guess, in the near term, our plan is to have what we're going to call like the Bunkie Life Locals kind of thing. So if you love your product, once you built it, you love the product and you want to kind of show other people, kind of like what Gary and Lori were talking about, just like little informal, come over and check out my Bunkies. We're going to have kind of a system in place to make that happen so that people can in a safe way interact with each other and see each other's Bunkies and stuff. So that's coming down the pipe too, probably within a month or two. And beyond that, it's just been an amazing year. Thank you for being clients, because we could not do this without you. And we're now employing, I think, 25 people right here in Canada. So it's amazing to see what everyone's contributions have come together to form. So thank you for trusting us and believing in us. And so does anyone any other further need to have questions answered?
Lori has one and Christina has one.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, your thing about the bed reminded me. There was one picture that went up on Instagram of a Blue Haven Bunkie, I think, that had a little couch or settee thing on the main floor.
Yep.
And I messaged them. They didn't respond. I don't know. Did they say to you guys where they got it?
Was it the green one that was an Airbnb?
Yeah, and it had kind of a gray. It wasn't really a couch. It looked like it could be a couch or a bed type thing.
In the back left corner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she actually, she's a condo designer, like interior. So she's like super talented.
She's also a silversmith as well. Is that the right person?
No,
Oh.
no. I just can't think of their names at the moment. The names but I know who you're talking about. It's the Glamp House.
Yeah.
And I mean, she knew how to deck that out, and she didn't actually share anything about what was inside. However, it seemed like people it was either on Facebook or Instagram. If you look at all the comments, somebody else found the product.
Oh,
they knew what company it was from. So take a look there.
Okay.
I think it's part of her, style, because she does this professionally. So she doesn't want, she wants to keep the items to their own. But I hadn't seen anything like that before, and it really was a nice product to put in the back corner or in the corner. Yeah.
So in other words, the furniture might cost as much as the Bunkie. In other words, is what you're
Well,
saying.
there's that aspect too.
It's pretty gorgeous. I saw
she
that.
probably gets it
and they
at
rent
cost.
it.
She has the connections. That's probably why she was quiet about it too. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Everything matches.
Yeah,
Unlike mine.
we saw a Murphy bed for $13,000.
What?
So we didn't buy it.
That's great.
And then I got my bed
Oh.
from Kijiji for $50.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
the whole range
Great. Yeah.
for all people.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It was awesome.
Christina had a question there, David. It was about, let me get it. It was in the chat.
Okay, I think I might have got to one of them. Oh, wait. How about using patio stones under the deck blocks instead of gravel? I would still recommend gravel because the patio stone is still kind of sitting on raw earth. That's what, so yeah, your question was about how do you, foundation question, use a patio stone under deck block. I would say the patio stone isn't adding any value there. I just use gravel, a bag or two of gravel. Okay. Well, guys, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time. If you haven't got your bunkie yet, we're getting to you as quickly as we can. We're making 3 bunkies a day right now and hope to move up to 4 next week. And then we'll see you on the flip side. So thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, have a
you.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.